It is generally believed that the easiest way to avoid the dangers of the sea is to plant yourself on solid ground. I mean, you can't exactly drown when you're on land, right? Well, that may not be the case for everyone in the near future. After all, if you've seen our videos on this channel, you would know that Mother Nature will have her way whether or not we are ready for it. There have been numerous studies conducted that have found that some areas may be sinking, slipping lower and lower below sea level. To make matters worse, rising sea levels also pose significant risk to countless coastal cities. Boundaries that used to separate the land from the sea are shifting and changing, and it may not be long before some of your favorite cities are faced with an immeasurable problem. From Miami, Florida to Houston, Texas, here are 5 places that could flood in our lifetime. For many in America, Florida is a big tourist destination. Aside from the obvious things like Disney and other theme parks, the state has an incredible climate and is rich with history. One amazing fact about Florida is that no matter what part of the state you're in, you're never more than 60 miles from a beach. That means that the state is incredibly flat, having no mountains and very few hills, making it very prone to flooding in the right conditions. Rising sea levels have been recorded all over the world. Because Florida sits at or slightly above sea level, it is very prone to being taken over by the sea. Coastal cities like Miami are obviously at risk, as these would be the first places that the ocean water would reach. St. Augustine, Florida is also in danger because much of this old city sits below sea level. Even areas such as Everglades National Park could disappear forever. As the salt water continues to invade the freshwater marshlands, much of the wildlife will disappear, changing the landscape and bringing some animal species such as the American crocodile and the Florida panther close to extinction. To make matters worse for the Sunshine State, it is under constant threat from hurricanes. Being one of the most hurricane-prone areas in the entire world, Florida has seen its share of destruction at the hands of these monstrous storms. One of the worst was Hurricane Andrew in 1992, which did over $26 billion in damage. As there are sure to be more storms to come, you may see more land disappear with the passing of time. When thinking about cities that may end up underwater at some point, most people think of island nations or tropical areas. But New York City? This city isn't exactly a tropical paradise or known for waves and beaches. However, it is surrounded by water on almost every side and is ill-prepared for any type of rising water levels. New York City is a massive metropolis, a concrete jungle, but there is a huge problem with concrete. It does not absorb water like soil does. As ocean levels around the world continue to rise, the water would have nowhere to go except into the sewer systems. These sewers were built to handle normal flows of water from rain and the occasional severe storms. A sudden rise in ocean levels would spell disaster for the Big Apple. Meteorological studies done for the city show that there is a 68% chance that a flood of over 6 feet is due to take place by 2050. Take 2012 and Hurricane Sandy as an example. The slow-moving storm dumped tons of water on the city, and the storm surge generated did a lot of damage to many neighborhoods in Lower Manhattan, Red Hook, and the Rockaway Peninsula. The city was able to escape this instance as it was a weak system as storms go. But it wouldn't take much to push New York City past its breaking point. Located in the Pacific Ocean, Indonesia is a country that is made up of over 17,000 islands. Of these islands, only about 6,000 of them are inhabited. Island countries, while seemingly pleasant places to live, face a number of obstacles. Indonesia is unique, not only in the fact that it faces threats of typhoons and large storms, but the country contends with volcanoes as well. The capital city of Jakarta faces a very specific problem. The city is sinking. It isn't exactly at a snail's pace either. At a rate of 10 inches per year, Jakarta is the fastest sinking city in the world. The city is sinking for a couple of different reasons. First, much like New York City, about 97% of Jakarta is covered in concrete. As that leaves much of the surface water polluted and unsuitable for drinking, the residents resort to digging deep wells to tap into clean water. But since rainwater is unable to permeate the concrete, the groundwater cannot be properly replenished. Because of this, the soil settles more and more into the empty spaces left by the unreplenished groundwater. Additionally, there are numerous cities that put weight on the city below. As the ocean levels rise and the city sinks, there is a good chance that we could live to see the city drown if nothing is done in the next few years. The country of Vietnam is a damp country filled with jungles and marshlands. Many of these lands exist in the southernmost regions of the country near the South China Sea. It is also in this region that more than 20 million people live. However, all of these people could be in danger, as it has been projected that this area will be underwater by the year 2050. The flooding in this area would be a direct result of rising sea levels around the world. Even though many cities around the world would suffer because of this problem, Vietnam is at a much higher risk. The lands in the southern regions are flat for hundreds of miles. Additionally, the lands here are already soaked through with water and marshes. Soil would not be able to absorb the rising waters of the ocean, giving the sea a clear path further inland. As the seawater travels further inland, many millions of acres of farmland and rice paddies would be lost. Additionally, the water would drown the nation's economic center, Ho Chi Minh City. Since the country is among the poorest in the world, preparations would be all but impossible. Many people struggle to make ends meet with resources already being scarce. It would take the work of many countries to build an infrastructure to protect Vietnam from the impending floods. Houston, Texas is the fourth largest city in the United States by population. The city is booming with industry and is predicted to overcome Chicago, Illinois as the third largest city by 2022. But, just like every other city on this list, Houston is in danger of being claimed by the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. Although it is a prime target for hurricanes, it is not the weather that will claim the city. It is their own industry. The city sits on the Buffalo Bayou and is already prone to flooding. However, the city extracts a great deal of groundwater for its drinking water each year, much more than can be replaced. Just like Jakarta, the soil settles into the voids left by the extraction. To accelerate matters, Houston sits atop fields of oil and natural gas, both of which are heavily mined. Because of this, the ground beneath parts of the city have sunk up to 105.9 inches. The northwestern section of the city continues to sink by 2 inches per year. Luckily for the people in Houston, the local governments have had an eye on this problem and are working on solutions. Alternate methods of getting fresh water for the city have been explored. Evacuation plans have even been put in place should the city ever flood. However, no matter how much planning is done, the city is still vulnerable to large hurricanes and rising sea levels. Aside from these, there are constant threats to many great cities on the edge of the sea. While we may not be able to reverse the damage already done, the only thing it seems we can do is to help stop the effects of climate change, which in turn causes a rise in sea levels and more powerful storms around the world. To see another video like this, be sure to click the link on screen now. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.